So cool. NBA talk. Had to get through that. Predictions looking all right so far. But let's get to our album, man. We got one album we're really, really excited about this week. Now, I will just come right out and say that I think after listening to Conway the Machine's new album, From King to a God, we'll start there. Where's your level of excitement?
I like going into it. I've been so distracted with, I don't know, like the world ending and shit. Like I haven't gotten to think about music too hard. So I didn't like really get myself hyped up for this, but I'm always excited for Conway, anything Griselda, but especially Conway because I think he's the best rapper out of all of them. But so I was excited, and then listening to it, most of it I was really excited for, and most of it I was really pleasantly like not surprised, but just like, yeah, I expected this to be this good. Some of it I kind of was not that stoked on, so I don't know if that's, I'd say I'm about where I started.
Word. I'll stop you there to say that, yeah, so, well, I think we have a similar feeling, right? There's something about Conway albums that have just not exactly scratched that itch for you.
No, well, okay, here's what I'll say. And I hate doing this because I usually don't like to pigeonhole artists into one thing. Like, I don't think that them doing one thing is, like, exciting enough to make that their whole career. But I think Conway does. I'm kind of, like, trying to beat around the bush. There's a couple songs where he does something different, and I don't like it at all. Like, I don't like the Armani Caesar song. I don't like the Dej song. I really don't fuck with the opening track either. Like, I think they're not that they don't sound good, but I just don't like Conway on them. Like, I just don't think, like,
absolutely,
his rapping style and his, like, vibe is right for that kind of stuff that sounds a little more like New York, like New York kind of rap, like with the horns and all that. Like, you know, it sounds like Nas. It sounds like a Nas beat. Like, and like, I don't want to like pigeonhole him into like that really gritty Buffalo thing, but he does it so well. Like, even out of those three dudes, I think that I would least like to see him out of all three be on that kind of track. Like, Benny fits fine on that kind of shit. Westside is so weird, you can kind of like throw him on anything, but Conway, I think, just like his demeanor and his rap style and his lyrics just fit so perfectly on that really lo-fi, really grimy Buffalo sound. So when he does something different, I'm kind of just like, this almost is like a wasted track slot for something that could have been way cooler. Because the rest of that shit that's on here, the stuff that does sound like Conway has sounded in the past, is probably some of the best that I've heard him on. I think the Freddie Gibbs song is really cool. Yeah. I think the El Camino song, the long ass one, is amazing.
Yep, Spurs 3.
Yeah, I think this is a really, really solid project. Probably one of his better ones. But those couple of songs that are just like kind of off kilter, off of his lane, I just don't. They didn't work for me.
Yeah, I'm not really rocking with that one so much. I was gonna say I don't really have a track that I would vote off the island just yet, but the Dej Loaf one might be it. When I heard the Method Man track as a single, I thought it was cool, and I didn't really love it. You know, it did not steal my attention that week when it came out. I knew some other people would really enjoy it, and that collab would excite people, but something about there didn't hit all the way for me. Sounds better on the album, though, in general. It sounds better as like just a random track on the album as opposed to the single, the only album or the only song I have from you right now. I think this is a really good album. It, in effect, is really his debut album in a way.
Yeah.
I think it's his first real studio album, and it does try to play as, you know, his his biggest introduction to the world yet. And I do think he tries to kind of tell his story, tell you who he is through this project. And the part where I think this gets really good, though, even though all those things about it are fine, the part where I think this gets really good is in the track list. I have less songs than you that I really have a beef with. I think there are interesting beats on here, and I like the variety of instrumentals as well. So I'm really flipping on a same point that you made, is that there's just beats on here that the other Griselda guys, I wouldn't say would not touch, but they're definitely not known for. Not a surprise to see him branch out, do some other things. He's also released some Lucy tracks like on SoundCloud that are less impressive than what's on here, but he's going for a similar effect. So I like that this all sounds pretty clean to me. I agree. The El Camino track is amazing. I really enjoyed the last song on here, a real treat, with a DJ Premier beat. And that one is really easy on the ears. The Freddie Gibbs track, you're right. That's a showstopper. That's easily one of the best tracks on here. Spurs 3, a really quintessential, Griselda sounding track, like a what would Sheen Gunn do type track, which I think is great. You didn't like the Armani Caesar song on here, so that kind of kills this conversation I was going to have about, like, well, what do you think about her now? Did you just not like the track itself, or did you think she did her thing?
It's not her at all. If you took Conway off the song, I like the song, but I just don't like Conway's sound on that energy. Yeah. Because that.
I don't know if you caught this, but that's a murder beat. That's a Murder Beats beat.
I didn't catch that, but I think Armani Caesar has done that multiple times where she's been featured on things, and I didn't love the song, but I liked her on the song. Like I liked how she fit with that track, or how she fit with that beat. And it's not souring me on her at all. I still think that she's really cool, and I think that I'm really eager to hear more of what she does. But man, I just like, for Griselda's first like kind of like left of field signing, like left of field artist on their label, it's kind of like, it's not a rough go, but it's just kind of like a weird one where I haven't heard anything that she just doesn't fit so well with that crew that we've come to like kind of see as embodying Griselda, as well as, other like smaller acts might have. And I'm sure that's what they're trying to do. I don't think they want to keep just putting out like the carbon copy of a Buffalo sound, even though she's from Buffalo. I think really what they're trying to do is show, kind of like how we try to showcase everyone in Portland. They're trying to show like Buffalo is more than that. Like there is a lot more going on, and a lot more variety.
I bet you Westside, I'm speaking about specifically. Yeah. I bet you that Westside Gunn sees a lot of upside and potential down the road for what Armani Caesar can bring to their sound. So here's where I'm going to get into what I think about Armani Caesar and precursor, anything I say here, like, because I'm going to compare her to some rappers, and I think for women in hip hop, that's kind of hard. It's like playing that game is a little, like it's easy to pigeonhole someone, like you said, or I'm not trying to put Armani Caesar in a box by what I'm saying. It really is, at the end of the day, a pretty big compliment to say that on this track, because we've heard her on Fly God is an Awesome God too, a verse there and a verse here. I know she has some other shit out there, but for me, that's what I've heard so far. And I'm just kind of waiting for the next feature or the next song from her to come out to just kind of keep building this, like, okay, I don't know anything about you, and I'm going to learn and see where we go. She reminds me on this track she carries the attitude and the rap style of a Nicki Minaj. And she carries the kind of demeanor and sometimes the pace of a Meg Thee Stallion. So I see kind of a, because both of those artists have like a grittier gangster side to them. Nicki Minaj though can be a little bit more like, I don't know, fucking Harley Quinn about it, basically. And so I see Armani kind of doing something in between there. Those are two incredibly successful musicians, and there's no doubt that she can still just grow into her own thing. I really tend to compare new artists to artists I've already heard in a lot of cases, because a lot of people start out inspired, mostly just inspired by something else.
There's like a really marketable sound to Armani Caesar, that of like a Meg Thee Stallion, because one of the most, you know, Meg Thee Stallion was kind of like, and is still kind of like the coolest, like it was easy to see her being successful, but it's really cool that she's successful. Like she's cool and everyone likes her, so no one really has a problem with her being like kind of pushed in our face all the time. Like I don't have a problem with that. And Armani Caesar, I think, can be that for Griselda, but I also think listening to some of her other stuff, I don't know if I've listened to much of her stuff like on Spotify, but I know I follow her on Instagram, and she previews a lot of stuff on live or on her story. And she has like, she can get in that Griselda bag, like that really gritty shit. Like she can do it. And I think that what they're gonna try to do with her is kind of like, yo, bridge the gap between those two worlds. Like, and I think she can do it. I just don't know how much it works with the like very poster child guys like Westside. Like I think you need other guys to come in, other people to come in and help bridge that gap too. I don't think you can just keep putting her on Conway's projects as like a completely different sound than the rest of the album, and then expect that to be like enough to like make that transition. It's so, I mean, I don't think we need to like harp on this too much, because I know we both know this, and I'm sure a lot of other people, we've talked about it before, that like the journey for a woman in rap is a lot harder than the journey for a man in rap. Regardless of how well they rap, they also have to carry such a different like personality, such a different demeanor. They always have to be like, they have to be like an image. They can't just be a rapper. And Armani Caesar thus far doesn't have like that image that they're pushing, which I appreciate. I don't think Griselda should try to make her something she's not. I think they're doing a good job of kind of like letting her do her thing, as well as letting the rest of the crew kind of, you know, try to work her into the mix. So yeah, I think it will be a little bit more of a struggle, because I think they're conscious of that. Like we're not gonna like, you know, sell anybody out to right, you know, make record sales. We're gonna let them do what they do. And it might be a little bit longer, but I think that's the right play with the way that, you know, these smaller labels and independent artists and stuff are able to be themselves and do that kind of shit. Just stick with it. Like she's gonna be something, and as long as she just keeps doing what she's doing, and as long as you keep trying to promote her and make her, you know, make her another face of the label.
Yeah, like I said, they could really do a lot of things that could not have been done before by them with her presence. So I think it opens up a lot of doors for Griselda, and it really just depends on where they decide to go with things. So cool little side conversation on Armani Caesar there. You know, we're keeping an eye on her, and we'll keep like, I bet if there's a Benny album coming up, that she's going to have a verse on that too. So yeah, best songs for me, the Freddie Gibbs one, of course, the Griselda track, of course, El Camino. That's a nice, almost 8-minute song. That's really cool. The final song, again, produced by DJ Premier, really dope. I enjoyed hearing Conway on this Murder Beats beat. I haven't really enjoyed a Murder Beats beat in a minute. So Armani Caesar being on here too was cool. And like I said, he's touching some instrumentals on here I just wouldn't see other Griselda guys necessarily going for. So to me, this kind of feels like an album where Conway's coming out of his shell a little bit. I thought he did do a couple things. I think you just didn't like the couple different things that he did, and I think I enjoyed those.
Yeah.
So I got a well-rounded project because he went somewhere left, and I enjoyed that. And I think you got an album that has cool parts, but there's those parts of it that you're just not really gonna fuck with.
And that's the thing. I don't want him to like. I don't want me to not like every time he tries to do something different. I want to like that stuff, and I don't know. Maybe that stuff will grow on me. The more he does it, maybe it will become more of a norm for me. And I think that that's kind of what I'll expect a little more. But as of right now, my favorite thing about him is the grittiness. I think he's the best at being. Benny's hard as fuck. Like, Benny is like a scary. Like, I wouldn't want to fuck with Benny. But Conway, the way that he raps about the shit that he's lived through and the shit that he's seen is like, I think it's a step above the other guys in that crew.
And he can kind of tap a sense of emotion into it that I think like Benny and Westside don't really do. Benny is like really cold, He's like he can tell you what it is, but like he's a cold dude, He's a savage.
Right.
And they all are, but Conway kind of has that more emotional tap to him that he can put into a certain verse or song. So, yeah, I think
I mentioned Nas earlier. I think Conway does a lot of what Nas can do. A lot of that, like, he makes you feel like you're watching this happen. Like, you're standing
he's a picture painter
while some of this shit is happening.
Yeah, he's a picture painter.
Nas did that. He still does that to this day.
Yeah. That's a great comparison. Yeah. Do you think Conway is one of the 50 greatest rappers of all time?
I was about to say. You think Conway's top 25?